everybody. It's Aunt Bibi, and today is Sunday, July 22nd, 2018. And today I have my very first guest on my channel, and I'm very pleased to introduce Scott Creighton, American Everyman, who has the churchdog42 channel. So, welcome, Scott. Hi.
How you doing?
Good. It's really good to see you. So,
it's good to see you as well.
I don't know if you want to introduce yourself, and I mean, some of my viewers watch your channel, so they're kind of familiar. But even some of your viewers aren't really familiar with your background. So I don't know. I know you go through this spiel all the time. I don't
talk about myself that much, huh?
I know you go through this spiel all the time about your background, but I don't know.
I don't really talk about myself that much, but I've been running a website for 11 years called American Everyman. I started off doing a bunch of research into 9/11, cover geopolitics. I'm very anti-globalization, anti-neoliberalism. I'm not really affiliated with any party. I'm certainly not affiliated with any party. I gave up on them back when I saw Al Gore bringing down the gavel on 56 members of the Black Caucus, and they're trying to get somebody to sign one piece of paper which could have stopped Dick Cheney from becoming the default president of the United States, actually George W. Bush. But the fact that he kept gaveling them and shutting them up and setting them off to be silent, I was kind of figured out right then and there that it was pretty much a one-party system, and the plan was George W. Bush and the neocons would take over. And, of course, we see what happened after that. So, aside from that, my background is carpentry, went to school for theater and directing, had my own company doing drafting and design for a while, got sick, and here I am. It's pretty much my whole background. Not a lot to it, not very exciting.
Okay. Sounds good. Everybody's got a background. That's yours. Okay, I've got a couple of questions.
All right.
And you don't have to answer them if you don't want to. The first one is, are you wearing pants?
Now, you know the answer to that question because you saw me get up a few minutes ago before we started recording and walk back here. The answer is no. I'm not wearing pants at all.
Oh.
And I have to show everybody. I will. Ready? Here we go. You ready?
No, I can't see it. Okay. Okay. Now the second question is, are you now or have you ever been a member of, well, you know the rest.
I plead the fifth.
Anyway.
No,
all joking aside. Huh?
Just so we know, during the new Red Scare, no, I'm not a member of the Communist Party. But I will rat people out if I have to. I don't want to be blacklisted.
So, very good. Now, let's get more serious. So, I was thinking about something the other day from Charles Dickens' novel, A Tale of Two Cities. And you know how it starts out, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times.
Right.
So I'm wondering what you think about whether we are actually living in more dangerous times now, or is it just that we know more, or what do you think? That's a big question.
Wow, that's like a 45-minute question right there.
My job is done.
And take it. And go. Yes. I think clearly we're living in more dangerous times. There's an interesting, I think it was a book she wrote, Naomi Wolf, a long time ago, maybe 2006, 2005, about the 10 signs of a closing society. Talking about fascism.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
All right, we're talking about. Yeah. And she ran around giving speeches and lecturing about this. And of course, at that point, we had checked off about 6 of them. And in fact, if you go back and look at that list now, we've checked off all 10. Yeah. And she said herself that when they get to the point where they start to round up journalists and people who are dissidents and so forth, that's when she's going to stop activist work herself. Yeah. She's going to say, okay, that's it. I wash my hands of it. We're really getting very close to that, I think. In terms of people hyperventilate over, ridiculous crap like what happened with Trump and Putin in Helsinki. And everything is blown out of proportion. Of course, on the other side, on the right side, they're all screeching now about China, China, China. You go to Disinfo Jones's side, he's talking about China, China, China. The new FBI chief is talking about China, China, China with, who was that guy at the Atlantic Council? Forget his name, some reporter. Anyway, so there's a lot of hyperbole and fear-mongering going on out there for these, two different superpowers on both sides. But really what's not being covered at all, which I think is what makes this a more dangerous time for people like us, for activists, for independent journalists, while all of that is going on. The Trump administration and the one-party system we have, not just the Republicans, but also the Democrats and the centrists in the House of Representatives and in the Senate, are very busy working a new agenda, taking us really, I think, along the lines of Greece, but going down that serious austerity road. You take a look at there's a couple of videos. I think Naomi Wolf actually did one recently about the 2019 budget proposal, and it's draconian. Yeah. And the fact that you bring up Charles Dickens is interesting because that's the world. Oh yeah. So to answer to kind of give you a summed up answer, I think it's definitely more dangerous, not only in terms of being repressed in terms of freedom of speech, due process, all of our constitutional protections, but also it's more dangerous in terms of they're making it harder on poor people and making it harder on the disabled. They're going to it's going to be we could be going into a very dark period relatively soon, in my opinion.
So there is the best of times.
No.
So much for that.
For some people, it will be the best of times because the GDP is off the charts.
Oh yeah.
Big businesses are making oodles of cash
for very few. Very few. Yeah.
And I think I hate mentioning Cenk Uygur, but he recently did a video talking about the fact that Google was hiding all this money in an offshore account in one of these Cayman Island places or something. I mean, we're talking billions in profits. So for big business, it's great. I mean, if you're a billionaire, good times. Anybody else? Not so much.
Yeah, like they need it too. Good grief.
Really?
God, there's never enough.
Listen, you got to have a different yacht for every day.
I guess.
Otherwise, people talk. You can't be seen in the sea. You can't be seen wearing the same yacht one day after the next. Right? So.
Yeah. Okay, next. Now, I watched your video today, but you weren't able to show the Syrian conflict map, but I have it. So, so I don't know if there was anything in particular. Wait a minute. Oh, there it is. I got it. I have it on my screen. Now, I don't know if you want to look at it now. I can send you the link. Wait a minute.
I know where it is.
Okay.
I saw it today, so if you just want to talk about it, I remember it.
Well, I don't know what it was. You weren't able to show it, so you weren't able to talk about what was
the first video I did. I showed it. I had like one frame every 10 seconds. So, because I opened 4, and I opened 4 because I wanted to show you the progression of the territories and who controlled the territories from January 2017 up until today. So I just wanted to show you the progression of how seriously messed up that country was and how they're starting to regain control of at least everything west of the Euphrates. East is still busted off for the Kurds in the Greater Kurdistan Project. We got, I think, 11 bases over there. And there's that one green area in almost the middle of Syria down at the border with Iraq.
Yes.
One green area is there.
Yeah.
because we have the one base west of the Euphrates. We have the one base right there in the middle.
Yeah, right.
So that's why that's still green.
And the green is ISIS, right? Or
green, the Free Syrian Army, Al Qaeda, Al Nusra.
Yeah, so it's all of those.
All those guys.
Yeah.
The yellow is the Kurds.
Yes.
The gray is ISIS.
Yeah. Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah, that's right.
Blue is Israel. Yeah. And of course, red is the legitimate government.
But it's a huge red area now. It wasn't like that until recently. Yeah.
It's interesting. If you want to show your viewers what I'm talking about, on the right-hand side, on the upper right-hand side, you'll see where it says time. If you click on that, a drop-down menu will show up. It'll show you different months, and above that, it'll show you different years. So you can literally go to any day of any year in the last 5 years. Yeah. And it'll show you exactly what the map looked like.
Yeah.
But when I did that, because they add a bunch of stuff and they spam up.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I don't know who does it. It's either the people who produce the map, or it is the internet service provider who does it, because they don't want you going there and looking at what's happening. So when I had 4 of those up, that was it. Mm-hmm. My computer just said, screw it, I can't do it.
Well, I'm using a cloud-based system, and it doesn't usually get hung up on with things like that because there's nothing to download. I don't know. And also, I'm in Canada, so maybe I'm getting off scot-free here. I don't know.
Just wait, it's coming. It's coming.
Oh, yeah, I know. Because Canada always follows the trends in the U.S. without fail.
You know, when the thing first happened, when they were first pushing the Obamacare thing before they had actually voted on it, and back in the day when Dennis Kucinich was still saying it was worse than doing nothing at all, then he took his ride on Air Force One and came out the next day and said, oh, yeah, it's going to be great. I want to support the president. Mm-hmm. And at that point, again, I had nothing to do with Dennis Kucinich. But I said then, they will not drop this. They will not stop this, because the idea is not only do they want to force this fascist, healthcare system on us and mandate everybody buy into the system, but they have bigger plans, because it's not just the United States. As much money as they can make in the United States, I said back then, they want to go overseas. They want the UK. They want, Spain. They want to privatize all of these other places in Europe that already have socialized healthcare, and Canada. So, of course, now we see what's happening with the NHS, National Health Service, in England, and they're doing exactly what I said they would do. What was it, 2010? Mm-hmm. They are pushing to privatize the national health system. So they can, that's thinking about trillions of dollars. Now we're talking, good God, money, not just billions in profits every year from the United States, but all these European nations. If they can get in there and privatize all them as well, they're talking trillions. That's a lot of money. There's no way they'd stop doing that.
Yeah.
So eventually whatever happens here is going to bleed its way like an infection to other places, including Canada.
Yeah, well, they've been chipping away. We're both from Virginia. So I should have said we're both Virginians, native Virginians. But I'm in Canada. I have dual citizenship. And I've been in Canada since the 90s. And from what I understand, and I've seen a bit of this, they've been chipping away at the system. You have to pay more for this and that. And it's not, the coverage isn't as good as it used to be. And actually, unless you are one of the lucky few that has something called extended health insurance, which is private through an employer or whatever, there's a lot of things that are not covered. So I'm lucky. I am covered by an extended health insurance plan, but even those plans, they've chipped away at those. And so I have to shell out a fair bit for certain things.
Wow.
So
that's what they do. Whenever they want to privatize something, the first process is to underfund it. Like post office down here in the United States, or public education, or Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. You underfund it, then you throw your hands up, and obviously because you're underfunding it, there's a problem. Then you throw your hands up and go, "Oh my goodness, it's a crisis. We have to do something." So they're probably in the process of doing that with you guys.
They've been doing it bit by bit. They just chip away, and Yeah, like the postal service here is, I mean, it's even more privatized, I would think, than the U.S. Postal Service, really.
Already?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. Okay, well, we've covered Syria. We've covered some austerity. Oh,
We couldn't cover the news in Syria, which is the white helmets.
yeah. Oh, yeah. We can talk about that. And so when I heard the news that they're going to evacuate them, and some of them are coming to Canada, I said, there goes the neighborhood.
So you'll have the Sikhs on one side of town, and you'll have the terrorists on the other side of town.
Well, we already have Syrians where I am, and I can pick them out because the women are fully covered. They wear these really long coats that go down to their feet, and they're
Really?
in hijab. Oh yeah, I can spot the Syrians. These are not Sikh women.
Are you sure that's Syrian, not Wahhabists?
They're
Syria, they don't. In Syria, it's like well, at least it used to be like, Syria. They don't even have things on their head.
But there's a mix of people. There's some very conservative people, so I can spot. No, I mean there's a mix. So you're right. It's secular. I mean, Syria has traditionally been secular, the Assad government. But I know these are Syrian women. I've never seen them. I didn't see them until the last year or two. I never saw them around before. But I'll see these women fully covered with these big long coats, hijab, just fully covered, and they usually got kids with them. And I can hear the Arabic, so I know they're Syrian. Yeah. And they're not Sikh women are not covered like that. The Sikh women will wear
Sikh women wouldn't be covered like that. But again, because they're speaking Arabic, I'm not exactly sure that's. I mean, it could be. It could very easily be, and you would know because we have talked to other people up in that area. But again, remember, these terrorists are Wahhabists and Salafists who were brought over from Saudi Arabia and other places. But they also bring their families with them. As is, we go to the news today, they're talking about 800 terrorists and their families being being escorted out of Syria. And they've been there for a couple of years. So people would look at them and say, well, they're Syrians because they came from Syria.
Yeah.
But in fact, they're Wahhabists or Salafists.
That could be. But they would be officially probably Syrian refugees in that brought over.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, it could be. I don't know.
Right.
But I know that they've been brought over from Syria. Because I never saw them before a year or two ago or something like that. Yeah. So the glorious white helmets, also known as the ISIS Fire Brigade.
The Islamic State Fire Brigade. I've shown you those pictures and that video from John Cantel. And it's the funniest. And people just act like, I say, look, that's who they are.
Yeah.
He's doing the video talking about, he's ISIS's spokesperson. And Syria just bombed some ISIS people. And right across behind them, it's the white helmets, the same uniforms, the same helmets, the same patches, the same everything. And he goes, oh yeah, we got the Islamic State Fire Brigade here helping save the lives of these. He didn't call them terrorists, but that's what they were. And he's proudly talking about them and the good work they do saving the terrorists' lives. And I look around, even people like Vanessa Beeley, they talk about they're connected with Al Qaeda and this guy. And I said, that's them right there. They used to be known as the Islamic State Fire Brigade.
Yeah. This
is not, a joke. It's not, it's not some meme or something I put together myself online. No one listens. No one listens. So,
wait.
If I had myself a brand, maybe they would listen to me. I don't know. Maybe if I wore a stupid hat or. I don't know.
So anyway, on the screen you can't tell, but I've brought up your Twitter, and so I've got that meme. It says, "We would like to thank the American taxpayers for our new weapons. Sincerely, Al Qaeda." Oops, I meant Syrian rebels. And then so you've got some things here about the white helmets, and
you also see where Benjamin Netanyahu took credit for saving the
yeah.
terrorists.
Oh, and I was particularly pleased to see that it wasn't just Trump who contacted Netanyahu, but also Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, requesting the evacuation of the White Helmets. God, Justin.
Terrorists.
God, Justin. So Justin isn't any different from Trump, really. Gosh.
He's not. He was no different really than Barack Obama. He was no different from who's that guy Cyprus in Greece?
Yeah.
They're all the same.
Yeah. And here I've got why does Israel support ISIS? This meme or something. Yeah. I don't know, but I still encounter so many people that just deny this. They still deny that the white helmets are not associated with the jihadists, and the whole story about Israel supporting ISIS, and it's incredible.
They still call it a conspiracy theory.
Yeah. It's like, and you can show them all the evidence, and they still just deny it.
If you go to Clarity of Signal on Steemit, she has I think 5 months ago, she started putting together a list of all these different links and images. And I talked about that in the video this morning.
Yeah.
But I didn't post a link to it. I should have posted a link to it. But for your viewers, it is massive. It is a massive compilation of links to articles and proving, without a doubt, who these people are. I mean, it was created. The white helmets were actually created. This British former spook guy saw
James Lemassoure, right?
Lemassoure. Yeah. James Lemassoure saw this, I guess, the Can't Lie video that I saw with the Islamic State Fire Brigade, and said, "Hey, that's a target of opportunity. We can use those guys as a Hearts and Minds campaign." Mm-hmm. So that's what he did. But I mean, it's so obvious, that these people aren't what they claim to be, and yet, like you said, so many people have kept coming to me and go, "Scott, come on, really, seriously?" I mean, you see them in videos doing good things, and I say, yeah, and you can also see Thor in videos saving the world with a whole bunch of help from Iron Man and the Hulk. Mm-hmm. You don't believe that shit, do you? But still, people, if Hollywood tells them, it's true, I guess they think it's true. I don't know.
It's different. I think it's people have been brainwashed into being very deferential to authority. So, yeah. And I have a sister who's like that, and it doesn't matter what I tell her, she just dismisses it. It's just.
Does she think you're a pinko commie? Does she think you're a pinko commie moose?
Yeah, well, I know we would communicate, and she was receptive, but I sent her birthday greetings recently, and I didn't hear anything. And I know damn well she's so caught up in this whole Russia hysteria that, she thinks I'm a Russia apologist. She thinks I'm a traitor. My own sister thinks I'm a traitor. Yeah.
I was talking to some people. Yeah. And I had a bunch of people in an area, and I was talking to one guy. He and I were getting along fine, and he's on the left, and so forth and so on. And then he realized that I didn't vote for Hillary Clinton. And in fact, I didn't vote for anybody. Mm-hmm. His attitude turned like that. Yeah. I mean, everything that we had talked about up until that point, he completely agreed with me on, and he was, ready to marry me off to his daughter. But as soon as he realized that I didn't vote for Hillary Clinton, immediately, it was almost to the point where he wanted violence. And he was sitting, we were with people who had voted for Trump, had raised money for Trump, had gone out door to door knocking for Trump. People who are really into that whole free market thing, and let's privatize everything. We're with those people. He's not mad at them.
Yeah.
He was visibly angry, almost to the point where he was shaking.
Yes.
If I hadn't been 6'4", 260 pounds, who knows what would have happened? But that's how they are. And they've been conditioned to be that. You know.
Yeah. There was oops, something weird with the sound there for a minute. With my sister, I was visiting and
CIA tuning in.
Hi guys, miss you, love you.
Is my check in the mail?
Anyway, I was visiting.
And there's a Washington Post bag hanging on the back there.
At CIA. I'm official. I delivered for them when I was in college, so that's my old bag. So my sister, so I was visiting and we were staying at my mother's house, and I think she just passed away or something, I forget. So we were both staying in the house. And so we get it. Oh, yeah, this is 2016, right before the election. I had already voted absentee as an overseas voter in Virginia. I had voted for Dr. Jill Stein. I had been a Bernie supporter, hardcore, and my sister was not hardcore for Bernie, but she had voted for Bernie in the Virginia primary, but she was going to vote for Hillary. She was furious that I was not going to vote for Hillary, that I hadn't voted for Hillary, and she flipped out when I said that I had been so angry with the Democratic Party in the primaries that I had been tempted to vote for Trump. She lost it. And she went we were upstairs. And so I had one bedroom, she had another. And she went into her bedroom and just shut the door. She couldn't handle it. This is
a grown woman behaving this way.
I'm the youngest. And I don't know, she's the eldest, but like, I'm comparing this to like the Civil War. Families are divided, you know.
Weren't we supposed to be having a civil war about now? We want to talk about the Civil War. Civil War! It's going to be civil. Where's the Civil War? What happened?
I know. But people just
don't. We're supposed to have internment camps.
Yeah. Just wait. Just wait. God.
That one's still on the plan.
I know. He spoke too soon.
Now, earlier I made a comment about a commie moose, thinking that would give you an.
Here it is.
What is that again?
It's my. So he's wearing a red scarf. It's a white moose. So I call him the Pinko Commie Canadian. This is a clearance item from Canada Day. So it's a Pinko Commie Canadian white supremacist moose. Awesome. And it says the Great White North.
Because?
If in Canada, if you ain't white, you ain't right. That's my joke.
Well, unfortunately, that joke is now going to get your YouTube channel cut off. That's it. Thank you very much.
But that was my impression of, I grew up in a integrated neighborhood, so I had a lot of Black friends. And so when I moved to Canada and I was living in Northwest British Columbia, and there were very few minorities, and it was my first impression was, this country is pretty damn white. Unless you're in the cities. I'm in a metropolitan area, so about a quarter of the people here are immigrant or visible. And it's also the Bible Belt. It's an interesting mix. This is the Bible Belt. So you have a lot of conservative, like German Mennonite, and then you got Sikhs from the Punjab, India. So interesting mix. And then Syrians.
Well, the only thing I know about Canada is the Trailer Park Boys. And Justin Trudeau.
Yeah, well, the Trailer Park Boys is actually pretty representative of Canada, I would say. That's the real Canada. Once you get outside the cities, that's the real Canada. It is Trailer Park Boys. Yeah.
That was a brilliant show. Yeah. I don't know what they're doing now, but that was when I first started. That was a brilliant show. It was very funny stuff.
I think they're still making them, aren't they? I think
they went on hiatus. They stopped for a couple of years and they came back because I guess they ran out of money. I don't know what it was, but Yeah, man, that was a funny show. I tell you, some of my worst times before I moved to this apartment, when I was really, really poor. Some of my worst times, those guys got me through them. I watched Trailer Park Boys videos on my little cell phone, and that was the only entertainment I had. At the same time, I mean, that was bad times, but very funny show. Would not be here today if it weren't for the Trailer Park Boys, to be honest. Very funny. Yeah.
I think those guys are producing another show for CBC, Canadian Broadcasting. I've heard it advertised on the radio when I listen. So I don't know. Maybe that's why they haven't put out any new episodes. I don't know. Could be. I don't know.
But anyway.
I don't know. Wow. We went from Syria and the White Helmets to Trailer Park Boys.
And racist moose. Racist commie mooses.
Pinka commie Canadian white supremacist moose.
What's the plural for moose? Meese?
Moose. It's just moose. It's like deer. Moose. Okay. Oh, I did see, I got this little thing about Israel once again bombing Western Syria. That was a breaking news item, so I'm sure people will be denying that.
When was this?
This is a break. Yeah, just this morning. What's weird on my Chrome base, I don't know why, I get notifications from RT and Sputnik. So I have a Russian computer, apparently. So it says Israel.
Chromebook is Google, right?
Yeah, Chrome base. This is a Chrome base. The big computers are called Chrome base.
And you bought this expensive computer from Google, and they didn't pay any taxes on it because, of course, they said that money came from or was earned in Cayman Islands. Right? But I imagine what they do is they look at your history and they just give you updates from wherever you get. If you go to RT or Sputnik, do you ever go to RT and Sputnik?
Sometimes, but not routinely. I don't. So I'm not sure why I get these notifications, and they're both from Russian news outlets. And
I guess they figure you're a commie.
I'm a Russian. I am a Russian agent. I know.
Need your updates. Talking points memos from the Russia from Vladimir Putin.
Yeah.
Vlad the Impaler.
Yeah, all it says is Israeli warplanes strike targets in western Syria. And it says Israeli fighter jets have carried out an airstrike near the town of Masyaf and the province of Hama in western Syria on Sunday. State-run Sana'a news agency reports. That's it. So Hama,
I'm surprised about that because...
No, I'm not surprised, but...
I am.
Oh, you are? Okay. So Hama, I got the map up. That's interesting. So Hama is like north central Syria, northwestern. I'm showing on the map. Yeah. So this is Hama. I've got my cursor is highlighted so I can show. Yeah, it's nowhere near Damascus down here or near Israel. So they're flying over. Israel's flying over Lebanon, I believe, when they do this, right?
They have base set up in Golan. Actually, they do have base set up in Golan. They have no-fly zones in Golan. They have air bases in Golan. Yeah,
but I mean, so Hama, they would have to. I think what Israel does, this is what I understand, is they fly over Lebanon, and Lebanon cannot do anything about it. So they would have flown over Lebanon probably to get up to Hama.
I don't know that.
That's what I've read. I've read that they violate Lebanon's airspace all the time.
I know they do that, but I don't know that they would have to go over Lebanon to get to Hama.
No, they wouldn't. Yeah, they could go over the ocean, but I think they just they like to put this in people's faces, like we can go wherever we want.
Well, why wouldn't they just fly over Golan into Syria and up to Hamas.
Well, yeah, they could do that. Yeah, sure, they could do that. It's just that I had heard or read that they often will fly over.
I'm surprised that they're doing that because if you go back to the Helsinki, I found a link to the actual, I think Voice of America put it up. It's an actual transcript of everything that was said in that press conference and those ridiculous questions asked. But if you go back and you read what Putin said and what Trump said, for some reason they both decided to not only bring up Israel, when talking about what's going on with Syria, but to praise Israel and to make a point. They both do this.
Yeah.
To make a point to let everyone know that they've made an arrangement or an agreement between the two of them and and Israel. So it was my understanding and my belief that one of the reasons they've stepped up violence against the people in Gaza is because part of that deal is, hey, look, leave this part of Syria alone, and you can go ahead and do what you want down in Gaza, and we won't pay any attention to it. We won't look at it, and we won't, raise any alarms or any bells. And if anything happens in the UN Security Council, we'll just kind of brush it aside for it. So we know that violence has, the attacks on Gaza have definitely been stepped up, obviously, since the Great March for Return, but even worse in the last week, with them actually hitting spots and hitting locations in Gaza with their airstrikes that they claim were because of the kites or whatever. But I thought that was an agreement they had reached with Israel. If Israel is now striking Syria again for some reason, or Syrian forces again for some reason, I'm wondering if that didn't happen or if something has happened that made them change their minds. I don't know. But I'm surprised that that's happened because they've stopped for a while.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about Gaza and that situation, so that's a good thing to talk about.
Yeah.
And Israel's declared themselves a ethno-state or whatever, and so they're going to undermine even more the rights of Arabs, Palestinians.
Well, they've literally made themselves into an apartheid state.
Yeah.
And everybody before had said so. I think that was his grandson, someone's grandson, the guy from South Africa.
Nelson Mandela's grandson. Yeah, right. Yeah.
His grandson came out and he had gone to Palestine, he had gone to Gaza, and he came out and said, this is the worst apartheid state I've ever seen. And which says a lot coming from a guy from South Africa. They passed a resolution 62 to 50-something, 55. And they were fighting in the Knesset. They were, they were throwing stuff and tearing papers. They called the security to have the Arab contingent dragged out.
There are Arab members of the Knesset. Yeah.
Yes.
Israeli
and
Arabs.
There are Christian members of the Knesset.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because not all. People think that all the Arabs are Muslim. They're not. A lot of them are Christian. Yeah.
And a lot of just regular Israelis, but a lot of Israelis are Christians. The other thing people don't. I don't understand how the far right Christian Zionists. I don't understand how they stand with Trump when he says, "I'm going to stand with Bibi Netanyahu," when he says that this is Jerusalem is now the capital of Israel. Jerusalem isn't Israel. Jerusalem isn't Palestine. East Jerusalem is capital of Palestine, as per the 1967 Accord. But Jerusalem is an international city, and it's an international city because there's so much historical sites related to not just Judaism, but also Christianity. Obviously.
And it's the third holiest city in Islam. After Mecca and Medina is the third holiest city. In Islam, and it's Al-Quds. They call it Al-Quds, right? It's not
I believe so.
Yeah,
yes.
Al-Quds. Yeah.
I'm not a
I'm just
scholar, but the fascinating thing is they just claimed the birthplace of Christ as theirs, and decided, to heck with it. The birthplace of Christ is now a Jewish city. to go along with, our Jewish nation. You'd think that there might be a few Christians who would stand up and say,
there are a lot in Jerusalem, especially because, I know they're what is it? The Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Sorry. They have Armenian apostolic priests there. There's Catholic priests there. Different Christian sects have a huge presence there in Jerusalem. Yeah.
So it's not just the Arab population or the Muslim population who should be offended by this. Yeah. There are a lot of people who should be offended by this, but yet, strangely enough, we don't hear a peep out of the MAGA crowd, the Christian MAGA crowd, who believe in family values and Jesus Christ and all that stuff. They've just literally taken all those Christians and said, you're second-class citizens. In the world of the birthplace of Christ, and you're second-class citizens to the Jewish religion in Israel. Damn.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's pretty hardcore, but it's not doing Israel any good. Because as people will tell you, and Jews especially will tell you who don't live in Israel, and some who do live in Israel, they protest against this.
Yeah.
And they'll tell you this is not going to make us look good at all in the eyes of the rest of the world. So
there are a lot of Jews. I knew. What's funny? I have a very common German name, but it's also a very common Jewish name. And I've had a lot of Jewish friends, and there was actually in 2016. There was a rabbi in Vancouver. I'm not that far from Vancouver. And he was running on Facebook the BC for Bernie, the British Columbia for Bernie group. And he's American. And he assumed from the start I was Jewish by just the way I would argue. I guess I argue like a Jew or something. I don't know what it is. So he was surprised to learn I wasn't Jewish.
That's the second comment that's going to get your YouTube channel cut off. You only got one strike for the white supremacist moose, and you got another one for arguing like a Jew. I argue like a Jew.
Well, honestly, they forget there's another lady that I was acquainted with on Facebook, and she was Jewish from New York City, and she kept forgetting that I wasn't Jewish. I had to keep reminding her I'm not Jewish. I mean, it's okay. I don't mind if I were Jewish. Unfortunately, I took one of those DNA tests before I knew what that was all about. So I have a tiny little bit of Jewish, just a tiny little. Just to get me hauled. If I were in Nazi Germany, I would have been hauled off. Just for having a tiny little bit of...
There's Jewish DNA, really? Really?
Yeah.
You're telling me Jewish DNA? Come on.
Yeah.
Really?
Ashkenazi, yeah.
Oh, what?
Yeah. Just a tiny, not much. I wouldn't even claim it's just a tiny...
Never see that Dave Chappelle thing where he's a black guy, he's blind, and he's a Klan member?
That's funny.
And eventually, at the end of the thing, he's talking to the interviewer, and the interviewer's like David Cronenberg or some dude, something like that. And he's telling him, he tells him, he finally figures out that he's actually a black man. And he asks him, he says, he's interviewing him at his house, and he goes, I don't see your wife. He goes, yeah, I had to leave her. He goes, I had to kick her out. Well, why is that? Because she's a nigger lover.
You said the N-word. There we go. It's going to get shut down for that. Shit.
I was quoting Dave Chappelle.
Yeah. Oh, and my brother, what's weird is my brother's an engineer. And he used to work for defense. Until recently, he was always working for defense contractors. So he was being sent around to different countries. He specializes in radar. So he was so proud of the fact that he had helped design the radar, the guidance system remember when Israel bombed the nuclear facility in Baghdad way back when? Yeah. So he was so proud of the fact that he was part of that project So anyway, so he's had to travel to Israel on business. And so there's a fair mix of DNA. So my siblings, I mean, we look alike. We look like we're from the same family, but we have variations in DNA. He looks very Jewish. And I swear to God, they were ready to give him Israeli citizenship with the name Hammer and the way he looked. They questioned him extensively, but I know he could have been a citizen of Israel.
He was like the #1 draft pick. Hey, look at that guy. No. Let's get him on our team. Come over here. We'll give you a house. It's in East Jerusalem. You just got to kick some old people out of it.
Oh, yeah. It's a sweet deal if you're an Israeli citizen. Oh, yeah.
People don't realize that about the settlers. A lot of the settlers are from out of the country, obviously, and they're given a deal.
Yeah.
You go and live in this area that used to be Palestine, and you keep people from moving back into their home. And if you stay there for 10 years, we'll give you the house. So that's why a lot of these people are just rabid. Yeah. It's not necessarily that it's the religion that makes them that way.
Yeah.
It's that they couldn't have a house. They lived in an apartment. They were working at Payless Shoes or something before this. And now they're important. They're part of something. Yeah. They've got this worldview thing going on they didn't have when they're working at Payless Shoe Store. Yeah. But they're also going to have a house and they're with other people. And so, there's that aspect of it as well, which is what makes many of them as rabid as they are. Mm. That's your 5th strike right there. That's your 4th and 5th strike right there.
Oh, I got it. Here we go. One more. Antifa.
Is that your brand?
No, mine is the scarf, I think. I always wear a scarf. I wear a scarf all the time. I learned this in Europe and France. First time I went to Europe. So I was in France. Well, what was funny is I arrived in England first, and I looked so German. The German kids kept walking up to me and just speaking German. And I go, Nein, ich spreche keine Deutsch. Ich spreche keine Deutsch. So I'm going, boy, were they embarrassed. That happened to me all the time. I just looked German. Anyway, so I went to France. What's that?
I thought you speak.
I don't. I can kind of a little bit. A little. Ich spreche Deutsch sehr schlecht. I can insult in German. I know lots of German insults. But
you can tell people how to get on the trains.
So then when I went to France, all the bums were always saying, "Hey, Anglaise." Hey, English, English woman. So the French bums were, "Hey, Anglaise." I said, damn, I'm standing out too much. So I learned that the French were always wearing scarves. So, so I went to a store and no problem after that. No problem. I fit in.
In disguise.
I didn't look like a tourist anymore. I was like, yeah, okay.
That's all it took was a scarf to fool fucking French.
Yeah. And then,
So that you got a thing. I need a thing. That's my video from today. I need a thing. I don't have a thing. I need a thing. I don't know what my thing's going to be. So I had some good suggestions. Somebody on my website said I should get, since I'm from American Everyman, I should get like a raccoon cat with a tail in the back and the kind that has the actual angry face of the dead raccoon.
Davy Crockett.
Yeah, with the face, with the coon face. That's what I need. So I don't know. I'm still compiling all the different suggestions, so I'll see what comes of those.
But you're serious?
No.
No. Well, my brand is I'm petty and pedantic, apparently. People just say how petty I am, petty and pedantic, because I'm always correcting people, and you get sick of it sometimes too, I think.
Are you getting a lot of flack on your latest Debbie thing?
Yeah, but I always get a little bit. So there are a couple of people who are a little upset about that. And what was funny is that one guy was saying, you and Scott are always, it's you and Scott, you and Scott. Uh-oh, somebody coming in the room. Hi, Mrs. Creighton. Hi.
Apparently she's escaped from the closet. She's like, I need food. Don't stand there like a ghost.
Interrupt y'all.
Well,
had to say hi. Huh?
Hi.
I'm not dressed right. Hi, Barbara.
Oh, hi, Mrs. Creighton. Good to see you. That's the first time I've seen her. I've never seen her before.
Get back in the closet. You're going to have one cracker.
All right.
And back in the closet.
So
Keep her in the closet and cash. Get to sign the Social Security checks, and then I let you know once a month.
I was going to say, so somebody in the comments on my last video about Debbie, disinfo Debbie, the lost progressive, with the picture of Debbie's hedgehog, Humphrey the hedgehog, as the thumbnail. I was dying to use that, Humphrey the hedgehog. Anyway, so some guy, he was saying, you and Scott are always cynically, and you're snarky and cynical and always attacking other YouTubers. And I'm going, oh, so I guess Scott and I are joined at the hip or something. That's what I'm thinking. It's like you and Scott.
Ideological twins.
But I checked his subscriptions. He's not subscribed to your channel. He's only subscribed to mine, unless they didn't all show up. I always like to check these people out.
Yes, he likes petty and pedantic.
That's my brand, petty.
That's the thing.
But I get a lot of people who just say that I'm attacking other YouTubers. They think I'm really being petty, and I have to explain. No, I used to watch these people. I used to respect these people, like Debbie. You know, even Hard Bastard, I kind of liked.
It's like Jamal, the video that he did and it took talking about you.
Yeah, he's talking about me, yeah.
Yeah, he does the same thing. He goes after Young Turks all the time. You know, he sucks up to HA, he sucks up to Hard Bastard, he sucks up to others.
Yeah.
But he'll go after, as long as everybody else is going after Cenk or whoever. He'll go after them as well. Yeah. So you're not doing anything different that they don't do.
I tell him, I kind of like him.
Who deserves it, regardless of whether or not everybody else is attacking them.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean.
But I sort of see, I used to really like Hard Bastard. He was fantastic about going after the media. And so I kind of see, I'm being the hard bitch. That's what I'm doing. And these are people I'm really upset because I used to watch them, and I've just found that there were fewer and fewer YouTube channels that I could have watched that I really respected what they were saying and what they were doing. And
holding people accountable. I mean, we hold CNN, MSNBC, Fox, New York Times, the Washington Post. Yeah. We hold them accountable because someone has to. The same as it's fair. Anybody's fair game, especially if they come out and they start doing things like "Go Trump" and they were "Go Bernie" a year ago.
That's wild.
I mean, that's not a transition that just happens naturally. That's not that's not a moth becoming a caterpillar morphing into a butterfly. That's not something that's organic. That's a decision that somebody makes, and if they make that decision, they're doing it because they want something. Mm-hmm. You don't go from supporting socialist ideas and left-leaning ideas to supporting privatization of the public education system, to supporting privatization of everything, free markets, deregulation. Yay, Glass-Steagall, let's destroy Glass-Steagall and wreck the economy. As long as there's no regulation, you don't go from A to Z naturally. So when someone does that, you're damn right they're fair game. So good for you. Good for you to take it on.
Because a lot of these people, we were all Bernie supporters, hardcore, and then voted for Dr. Jill Stein. And then there are these people with that background, but they flipped to Trump, and I'm going, what? What? And then also, Yeah, but so I've decided there are 3 categories of people now. There were 2, but I came up with a third now. So there's the sheepdog. Yeah, sheep. I'm putting people in boxes now. The sheepdog controlled opposition for the Democratic Party. And then on the right, there's the people they're Trump apologists or opportunists. So these are people on the left. This is the people on the left. I'm putting into 3 boxes. So sheepdog control opposition is 1. Number 2 is the Trump apologists and opportunists. And number 3 is the category I just started, this truth crew. Debbie, the same progress. Yeah. So, yeah, I realized this after I did the videos. There are a third category of people on the left, former progressives, who don't want that label anymore. So it's Debbie, the same progressive, Claudia Stauber of Cabin Talk, Holly Seeliger of Zoan Politicon, who I've already gone after. There's Gerard Kenyatta Hay, who's a buddy of Claudia's and Debbie's, and Tatsu Ikeda. So they don't want that progressive label anymore. So they call themselves independent nonpartisan. So they're just sort of letting, okay, we're not going to get into politics. They're not going to talk about politics anymore. That's it.
Let's go back to what you started off this interview with. Excuse me. Let's go back to what you started off this interview with. And you asked me a very interesting question. Whether or not I thought, after the other questions, you asked me whether or not I thought this was a more dangerous time. And the answer was yes. And remember what I was talking about. Now, keep that in mind. And now we transition after the hour we've been talking to this left flight or progressive flight or the I got my mind right flight, right? These things are tied into each other. Mm-hmm. These are people who have sensed that it is a dangerous time, and it is certainly a dangerous time to be on the left. When, as we talked about a minute ago, even people on the left hate the real left. Even people on the centrist left and the fake left and the follow along the Bernie Sanders crowd and the Hillary Clinton crowd left hate the left. You go to the right, and they hate the real left. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what's happening is people are leaving, rats are leaving the sinking ship. Yeah. Yeah. And they're trying to position themselves and rebrand themselves. And part of that is self-preservation. Part of it is that they're not going to be able to make any money with that market, so they're moving to a different, more active, popular market right now, like Stick Sex and Hammer 666 did, certainly H.A. Goodman did. But the other part of that, I believe, is a legitimate feeling of self-preservation. Mm-hmm. Either, the options are keep doing what you're doing and, you get 700 subscribers as opposed to 15,000, 30,000, 250,000. Keep doing what you're doing and stick to your guns, or rebrand yourself or leave entirely. Yeah. Those are your options, I guess. People like you and myself have decided to stick it out and stick to our guns. And there are some others out there, and good for them. That's the courageous choice. But many others have said, I'm not going to be anything progressive. I'm not going to be political anymore. I'm going to just do crazy shit and post pictures of me with my crazy hair. Or they have turned into Trump apologists. So it kind of works that you mentioned the first question you asked me about the date, times that we live in. That's a sign that, yes, these are dangerous times we live in. Yeah, I find it very lonely. Whoops. Oh, got a little feedback or something there. It's kind of lonely because when I was once in Debbie's live chat and I was criticizing her, saying all these mass casualty events were fake, she and all of her cult followers started attacking me. And a lot of them were Trump supporters too. That was disturbing. But there were a few who watch my channel and I get along with. They remained silent. They didn't
try to defend me. That's what's, and one person told me I deserved it. Yeah, that was a shock. I deserved it.
Well, when it's time for the tongue lashing and the verbal beatings, it's very rare that someone's going to pop up and say, "Hey, beat me as well."
Well, I defend people. I've been in, I do. I step up, but yeah, there were a couple of people just like, okay, she's on her own. Or I guess I think they think, oh, she can handle it, because I'm a bitch online. I just am. Yeah, I don't know. That's weird. Oh well. So
her thing has become just a cult of personality. Her
yes, it is.
Her base is now just a cult of personality.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Excuse me.
No, that's good. I think we need to wrap this up. You're coughing. But we've had a long talk. I don't even know how long we've gone here. Oops.
I've enjoyed it. It's been nice talking to you.
Yeah, that's fun. Maybe we should do it again.
You know what you should do? You should get Jamal Thomas. You should get him to do an interview with you.
Oh, God. He would put me to sleep, though. I go... He would Jamal me. I wouldn't get a word in edgewise. He would Jamal me.
You just ask him one question, and then you just take a nap, come back, and he's still talking. Okay, thank you very much. Wrap it up.
Oh, well. Okay. I
think
you're
going to continue doing these, right? Doing interviews with people.
What's that?
Are you going to continue doing interviews with people?
I don't know. Who else wants to talk to me? I don't know. I'm not really on speaking terms with people.
You've alienated everybody.
I don't know.
I've enjoyed it.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Scott. It's been fun, as always. Okay. Well, that's it. That's Scott. And we're joined at the hip, apparently, sometimes. Okay. Thanks, Scott.
Yeah,
Have a good day. Bye-bye. Oops. That's not it. Hang on.